Hello viewers, welcome to my channel One Piece Journey. If you like my videos, please give it thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Today we are going to take a look at quite possibly one of the most paramount marines to have ever existed within this world, and a man who is known throughout as nothing less than a hero, Monkey D. Garp. Monkey D. Garp is a tall, broad and imposing figure which was introduced to us an awfully long time ago, way back on the cover of chapter 92 at the surprisingly age of 76. Garp presented himself as wildly eccentric man with several highly detrimental but exceptional in community character quirks such as frequent narcolepsy and being absent-minded. In general, Garp is also quite jovial being and is almost always seen supporting a traditional Luffy smile, and having brought that up, it's difficult to go much further without noting Garp's profound influence on the world, not just as his own career as well get to more, but he also happens to be the father of most wanted man in the world, Monkey Dragon, as well as paternal grandfather of the world infamous future pirate king Monkey D. Luffy, thus making it arguable that Garp accidentally caused Marines much more trouble than he was alleviated. During his time with them in regard to Dragon, Garp's true feelings toward his son are unknown at this point in time, although he does seem to regard his role as the leader of sworn enemy of world government with stalling carelessness. This may be due to the fact that while they are completely different, the two of them do at least have one thing in common, which is inherited of the world nobles, for whom Marines rather unfortunately exist to serve. As for Luffy, Garp had high hopes regarding his grandson would become a Marine and considered his mind to have been poisoned into accepting unrealistic dreams of piracy by red-haired Shanks. But despite that, Garp seemed only proud whenever he receives news of his grandson being involved in a big event, even when the ones that directly hinder the world government, such as mass breakout of Impel Town, and there is more to Garp's family, but we'll get on that in a bit, because we have some very important history to cover first. Starting off, living legend here first joined the mean the whopping 56 years prior to the current timeline, along with his close acquaintances, future by side no suit and or future fleet Admiral Sengoku, and these two would form pillars of Garp's close relationship over his lifetime, with he and Sengoku sharing an almost comedic duo-style friendship in which Garp seems to greatly enjoy annoying him. But he and Garp worked diligently for 18 years, maintaining peace throughout the world as best he could, which included chasing various young troublemakers such as future pirate king himself, called D. Roger, which would develop into one of the greatest rivalries this planet has ever known, but the Garp having fought and cornered him on many occasions. However, in each case he was unable to apprehend Roger. Now I'm going to place a very sudden surprise spoiler warning for events that have taken place during the 100. Oddly enough, if you're not in Act 3 and not looking to have some major spoilers thrown in your face, then do skip to this time in the video. For everyone else, let us proceed. Where on at least one fateful occasion, Garp would join forces with his eternal rival Roger in an event that would become known as the God Valley Incident. This particular affair would see Garp and Roger team up combat one of the greatest threats in the world has ever known, the Rock Pirate led by Captain Roski Beck. Now, while we still not know next to nothing about Rox himself, it is very worth noting that his crew at the time consisted of some figures you may have heard of. They go by the names of Goldenline, Shiki, Ever, New Gate, Charlotte, Lilin, Kaido, and many more. And although they were undoubtedly much younger and not quite at the pinnacle of power, they will most certainly rise to be as emperors of the sea. Their strength was nothing to scoff at. Despite this after disgustingly hard-fought battle, Garp and Roger would emerge victorious, and afterward Garp would become known as the hero of Marines. Garp's legacy would end here as he continues his impactful career for a further 38 years with many infamous exploits. one of which was immediate dismissal of notorious pirate dungeon delve, with which Paternal single, which earned Garp another epithet. Being Garp the Fist on another occasion, Garp also teamed up with long-term ally Sengoku to face off directly against Golden Lion Shiki in a battle that destroyed half of Marine Fort but still resulted in Garp's victory. And just while we are on this, as a combatant, Garp represents some of the greatest raw power that we have ever seen in the series. He has a very simple Borello-style approach to combat, choosing his fist as his primary weapon, each of which possesses world-shaking strength. However, he does on occasion also use weapons, and he has been known to hand-throw cannonballs at enemies, which actually makes them far more destructively potent than being fired from an actual cannon. And when Garp is feeling particularly in the mood of weaponry, he will also wield a staggeringly huge ball and chain, which is barely smaller than the size of a marine battleship. Plus, in their own haki, Garp is also confirmed to have mastered both observation and armament haki, the latter of which should strike terror into the hearts of anybody facing this man, as it only makes his fist that much more deadly. And so, as a result of his supreme abilities and exploits, Garp has been offered the position of Marine Admiral on numerous occasions. However, he has turned down each and every one of them, preferring to remain a Vice Admiral, so it was not to be under the direct control of world nobles. But despite his wealth of accomplishments, there was always one mountain that Garp was never quite able to conquer, being the Pirate King. Nor would he ever receive more chances to do, as one day out of nowhere Roger turned himself into Marines. Now at this point, Garp and Roger had developed quite a strong bond from their various skirmishes, with Garp harboring incredible respect for Roger, and Roger even considering Garp as much of a friend as his own crewmates. And with this in mind, Roger made one last request of Garp, which was to protect his unborn son, a man who would grow up to become known as Fire Fist Ace. And Garp bequeathed to Roger appeal, believing that no child should be branded a criminal due to the action of their parents. And so after his longtime rival was executed, Garp adopted Ace and took him down to the Dawn Island to be raised by a group of mountain bandits, led by co-leader Dawn. And this brings us to the sketchy topic of Garp parenting techniques, which can be described as questionable at best and blatant child abuse at worst. The first example of which is choosing to have his children raised by mountain bandits. And with that in mind, is really surprised that both Ace and Luffy turned out to be notorious criminals. But when Garp was present, his parenting was actually much worse, sort of extreme tough love approach in which he would do things like throw Luffy into a valley and force him to survive so that he could become a strong marine. Wherever the case, his strategy clearly failed, as Ace went on to become the captain of Spare Pirates and later a deviant commander of Whitebeard Pirates. But despite the plague of criminals the Garp had adversely released upon the world through his parenting, he remained a strong presence within the Marines. Which brings us to his first appearance in the series, which occurred during the Diary of Koby memo cover story NTL. After an incident involving Captain Morgan, Garp decided to take charge of Koby and Helmeppo, training them into the incredibly competent Marines that were going to appear in their Turn to Water 7 arc, which saw Garp visit Luffy after his grandson's victory on the judicial island of Anisabi. However, shortly after this event, tragedy would strike up as Ace was defeated by Blackbeard on Panara Island, then turned into the Marines and subsequently scheduled to be executed, which of course would force Whitebeard's hand in commenced an event known as Paramount War. And during this time, Garp was put in an exceptionally unenviable position. There was no denying that he greatly cared for Ace, even coming to consider him as much of a grandson as Luffy is. But at the same time, it would not be hyperbole to say that the fate of Bird as we knew it was at stake, because there was a real possibility that the Marines could have been defeated in Paramount War, which would have been resulted implementing the world into untold anarchy and so torn between family and global stability. God remained primarily inactive during the war. And when he did act, it was with great trepidation, such as when he confronted his grandson with ultimately let Luffy punch him and make his way to Ace, and from here a series of events played out. That saw the death of Ace at the hand of 10 admirals, a hand in action that threw God into the rage, and he even had his sights set on killing a canoe, prompting his long life comrade Sengoku to restrain him and following the Paramount War. It was stated that Garp resigned him from the position within the Marines. However, he did still remain a part of the organization in the capacity of instructor to train the next generation. However, Garp was also saddled with diplomatic duties as well, with one particular example being that he was tapped to escort King Neptune as his family to and from the reverie, which took place on the Holy Land of Martha. And here we have second spoiler warning for this video. This is another one that you should be aware of if you have not begun Act 3 of Wano. It's fairly short but not at all insignificant, so once again, if you are keen to know anything, please skip to this time. As for everyone else, here we go again. After successfully returning King Neptune and his family to Fishman Island, Garp had the unfortunate role of informing them of an incident that occurred during the reverie involving the Alabasta Kingdom. He is then seen leaving Fishman Island and being informed of the startling news with two of his former foes. Big Mom and Al-Qaeda had formed an alliance that threatens the very stability of the world. Some more facts about Garp. While not confirmed either way at the time of this recording, it is entirely possible that in addition to armament and observation haki, Garp may be capable of wielding Kankuro's sake. This is due to the fact that he said Luffy had inherited the ability to invoke it all together, whether it was inherited directly from Garp or even by blood ties. In general, it is very vague and well and truly up for debate. Garp's first appearance in manga medium actually predates One Piece, as he was a figure introduced in ODI's prototype for the series Romance Down version 2. In this incarnation of the story, Garp is the one who gives Luffy his straw hat, although according to Oda, his plan was also for this one to be done by Shanks. And it was not featured in Romance Down, so was to give the moment more impact in an eventual One Piece. Despite his impact on the series, Garp has been generally unpopular with the Japanese fanbase, having ranked a pitiful 74th place in 5th character popularity poll, and even more shockingly, not ranking at all in 6th poll. With that said, Garp's prominence is such that he has appeared in no less than 3 One Piece films, being Strong Word, Film Set, and One Piece Stampede. And finally, a truly useless fact: in anime-only addition to the series, Garp once stated that he had eaten 842 donuts without sleeping or taking any form of break. Whilst he was trying to attain the world record for donut eating, the word trying implying that he failed. And I think we all know who would be the next most likely contender for that world record. Forbid any more donuts, but that pretty much does it for Garp.